I'm not sure what the goal is here. This exotic has some exotic qualities, sure, some. But for the most part, I'm not feeling it, and believe me, I have a number of reasons why. So sit back, bumpy ride, get the popcorn. All I know, this thing already needs some changes. Is that harsh to say? Yeah. But in the current state, I don't see a clear path to just outright use it. Is it gonna do okay? Yeah. You can run it in general play. You could also run the Titan's Mask of the Quiet One if you want. And I know some of you out there are gonna say, no, it's not that bad. You just gotta do this or that. So to you, I say, let's not settle for mediocrity. There is a great exotic here, but not with what it shipped with, not with what it currently has. Triton Vice is the new hunter exotic for Season of the Deep, and the exotic perk is Halberdier's Reach. Increases glaive reload speed and melee damage when surrounded. Glaive melee final blows overflow around the magazine. Glaive projectile final blows detonate if the glaive deals damage matching your subclass type. And in total, this thing just feels like a glorified legendary arm piece with extra steps. And I have an example of a number of different glaives today. You're currently seeing the Judgment of KELGORATH. And I believe one of the best options for this exotic, it's got enhanced demolitionist, enhanced incandescent. They finally changed it to where demo works on these things. The base glaive melee is 19,069. When 3 or more enemies are around, you proc the exotic perk. Well, an armor piece head comes up on the text side to indicate that the exotic is procced, and I'm pretty sure that's supposed to say something, but I'm not surprised anymore. Anyway, this is the melee damage buff with the increased reload speed. With the melee damage buff, it goes to 24,790. That is 30% more melee damage, and that's less than what the perk Surrounded gives. 30% kind of in between lines up with max rampage or kill clip. It's decent damage, but they should actually put the surrounded damage instead. We have the increased reload speed. It's an animation scaler. So there's a big difference between the base and the boosted reload. Base reload is just absolutely painful on glaives. So yeah, that's a good thing. The exotic perk makes you pretty fast with it, but note, triple loaders is faster than this, and they do combine. So basically, the reload can be simulated with mods. If you put on double loaders, it's gonna do the same thing. Second part of the perk, glaive melee final blows overflow around to the magazine, so this can get above your base mag. Glaive projectile final blows detonate if the glaive deals damage, matching your subclass type. In reality, this is the true, quote, exoticness. Get a melee final, it overflows the round beyond base. So with something like Demolitionist Incandescent on the Judgment of KELGORATH right here, that works pretty well. We get melee finals overflowing the magazine. In a pinch, you can throw the grenade because of Demolitionist to reload instantly in close quarters with a lot of enemies. You got the fast reload if needed. Getting melee finals keeps the mag up. On final blows with the projectile, there's a detonation. We're spreading Scorch. And on a solar sub, we have the knife with Gunslinger. Solar nades, various skill tree fragments adding to this. In a way, actually really good with this particular glaive. We got Ad Clear. It's a great use of enhanced incandescent, enhanced demolitionist. I enjoyed this. 3 ways to get the rounds in. Melee final blow to overflow, faster than normal base reload when enemies are around, you can throw the grenade. The setup is fine. It is, truth be told, I just love this glaive. It's a very unique one. But with that said, would I run it with this exotic? No. As a weapon-specific exotic, it doesn't bring enough to the table. We have Surrounded on, let's say, Lubre. Enhanced Surrounded. Lubre's Ruin, you're surrounded by a ton of enemies. There's 30% more melee damage on the glaive, and with Enhanced Surrounded, 47% more projectile damage. Note, the melee damage does not stack. It's just set up to where the glaive is kind of souped up to where 30% more melee, 47% more projectile. Then we move on to Close to Melee. When you get a glaive projectile final blow, you deal 30% more melee damage for 10 seconds. It can be refreshed when you get hits. And on this particular glaive, I straight up almost made a video about it. To me, it's a top 3 glaive. The Void ECLIPTIC DISTAFF, Close to Melee, and Replenishing Aegis. When you block damage, it throws around back into the glaive. It's a perfect glaive for this particular exotic. Close to Melee with the exotic damage buff now deals 32,229, so 68% more damage than base, 69. Pretty good, and as you can see, either melee final blows or just blocking damage throws ammo back into the glaive. Ideally, you won't ever have to reload, just block or melee. When you do start meleeing, you're packing a little bit more heat. I don't have the Hunter Exotic Glaive, but we can talk about Vexcalibur, which by the way, the Hunter Exotic Glaive, no big deal, really. Grand scheme. Vexcalibur, pretty good with it. Blocking damage gradually grants an overshield for you and nearby allies. While you have an overshield, you do additional melee damage. Melee final blows while the overshield is active will refresh it. So the melee damage goes to 29,747 paired with the exotic trait. In total, 56% more melee damage. But this time, with your melee final blows, you're refreshing an overshield. With getting projectile final blows, those can possibly collateral if you're on a void subclass. With that detonation, got some small add clear. You get a little bit more melee damage than what the exotic gives. And you have an overshield, and a pretty good shot to keep up that overshield. It's a good pick for it. So up until this point, I've talked about synergy, where it does well with a number of different glaives. Very niche, obviously. You need to use a glaive, but here's my issue. The things that it does do, they need to be bumped. They need to be better. Because in the end, I can't recommend this exotic with what it does currently. We'll take Titan. We have the Syntheseps. Sure, you miss out on a faster than normal base reload in close quarters, but you can bypass that with loaders. Sure, you miss out on throwing around into the chamber. You miss this, you miss that, but really, do you miss it overall? No, because on Titan with Syntheseps, you aren't tied down to a subclass. You can go Arc, Solar, Void, Strand, and when you're in the same perk trigger distance, surrounded by enemies, Biotic Enhancements procs, and it deals 28,603, so 50% more damage. Not 30, 50% more. Then we can talk about adding to it. Close to melee proc, 37,184, 95% more damage, almost 2 times base damage. You can still add Radiant to it, a number of things, but still essentially 2 times damage on your melees. Maybe you're running the Titan kit where you have an overshield going. Maybe you have Vexcalibur. The base melee is still 50% more damage with Syntheseps. We add in Vexcalibur's exotic perk for more melee damage. It goes to 34,324, so 80% more melee damage with the refreshing overshield. And if you do that on Void, it's going to be the best, but you don't have to. That's just one exotic on Titan. Let's move to Warlock. Let's put on, I don't know, the Necrotic Grips. We can use the Incandescent Glaive or the Distaff, the top 3 one, with Replenishing Aegis, close to melee. So close to melee is giving 30%, which is what that exotic gives, Triton's Vice. With this glaive, blocking is throwing ammo in, but when you melee something, it spreads poison. Here's the deal. Just an example of 2 exotics on different characters, and those characters both have subclass freedom from the glaive. You don't have to match the element. Who cares about 30% more damage? Who cares about the reload scaler? Who cares about a small explosion when matching a subclass? Like, who cares? Or throwing ammo in. All of this can be done different ways. These exotics and many other are better for glaives than the glaive-specific exotic. That's the problem, that's the issue. That makes it a throwaway. That makes it a legendary arm piece with extra steps. Because when you think of SMGs, are Peacekeepers not the best for SMGs? For trace rifles, the new Warlock Helm, Mechanier's Trick Sleeves with what it gives, are they not the best for sidearms? We'll say Lucky Pants and PvE for hand cannons, PvP for increased accuracy, technically the best, no backup plans for shotgun, War Rig for AR, Rain of Fire for fusions, all niche, and they really, and I mean really elevate the weapon that they're designed for. Triton's Vice does not do that. They are not the best for glaives. I just showed you a couple reasons. They need a buff already. You can use them in general play, use them if you want, and you can bargain all you want. They're not better suited for a glaive than a ton of other things in the game. That's the problem, it's a bad exotic. If you're new here, remember to hit the subscribe button, and if you are subscribed, thank you so much for your support. Pretty rough on this one. I don't see the point in it, especially when you can run around with Necrotic Grip Warlock or Syntheseps Titan. Again, that's just 2 exotics. But I would love to hear your thoughts. And in the end, hopefully, we can all kind of band together and say, you know what? These things need a buff. I would love to see the actual surrounded damage go into the perk, so 47% more, to make it at least on par with Syntheseps and still have its other exotic things. And of course, they could do stuff to those too. Let's talk about it down below. Thank you for watching, and until the next one, I'm CoolGuy.